Hello, my name is John, and today on Mono Story we're going to be talking about Enten being destroyed. So let's get into it and find out what it's all about. The current situation in regards to Kagurabachi is that Chihiro and Samura are fighting Akemura Soga and trying to stop Magatsumi as well as a second malediction. Now, in the current situation we have just seen between chapters 106 to 110 that Magatsumi has a lot of unique abilities that are very destructive, as well as being able to stop not only Samura and Chihiro at the same time. And so we have just witnessed in the last few chapters of the current arc that Chihiro began to fight with Soga, and in this fight Soga overpowered him and not only was able to inflict damage on him but utterly destroy Enten, splitting it into two, where he is now only holding the hilt of the sword as it is slowly crumbling away. And now we have to ask ourselves, how will Chihiro be able to defeat not only Magatsumi but Soga without one of these enchanted blades? So that is now the big question. How will he do it? How will he defeat Akemura Soga? So now we have a few theories we can go through in which Chihiro will be able to obtain an enchanted blade, whether it be Enten again or a new enchanted blade. First theory we can go through is that Samura is deleted. So in the current arc we are now seeing Samura versing Soga, and whatever the result of the fight is, Samura will ultimately be deleted. There is no way he can survive this fight unless he was able to cut the contract, because the sword contract means that if Soga is deleted, he is ultimately also deleted. And then if he doesn't defeat Soga, then it ultimately means he also was again deleted. So in both cases, it doesn't matter what he does, he will be getting deleted. So unless he can cut the contract, there is no way for his survivability. So after his deletion, there will be now Tobimune, which will still be available to another sword user, and so in this case Chihiro would be able to use it. However, I don't like this theory because it has one flaw. Iori will be able to use Tobimune in respect for her father, and as she has similar abilities to her father, she would be able to utilize it, I'd hope, more effectively. My second theory is that Chihiro would need to be able to forge a new Enten using his original hilt or blade, depending on what will remain after it gets disintegrated or disappears, as it did with Cloud Gouger when it was utilized to its fullest potential and then it was ultimately destroyed. And so the same thing here now, if Enten is still around, that means that Chihiro has the ability to reforge it, and there's a possibility this is possible because if the Kabunabi still has the potential instructions or methods to being able to do this, then Chihiro would be able to produce a new enchanted blade. However, if the Kabunabi already had this theory or schematics, then they would be making swords left, right and center, so I don't think that's a possibility. The other possibility I have is that it's somewhere located in Chihiro's house. Now again, his house was burnt, so it might be in a secret location if that's a possibility, but because Enten was made after the Seitei War, there might be the remnants or something that Kunishige left for Chihiro to utilize in order to be able to make another Enten or enchanted blade in general, which means that regardless of whether this is from either the Kabunabi or Kunishige or another source, essentially if this theory becomes reality, that means that there is a possibility that Chihiro can make more enchanted blades than what we already have in the story, which means that there is a potential new abilities within Kagurabachi that are now possible if Chihiro is able to create a new sword, whether it be his own sword being reforged, or a completely new sword using potentially Datanseki or another form of element from the Shokokas where they were able to utilize such an ability where they had these powers from these stones such as Datanseki.
Took up his father's sword.
The last theory that I have is that Soga is deleted. So in this fight between Samura and Soga, or it could be somebody else with an enchanted blade that comes in to this fight, as we still have 2 enchanted blade users who do not have access to their enchanted blades yet, but might be able to gain access in a potential side fight that we either may see or may not see depending on if it's done in text only. And so if we do have this as a possibility, then Soga will essentially be deleted. Now this will obviously delete all the other enchanted blade users, creating a whole different situation and scenario in regards to all of the other enchanted blades, but it essentially would mean that Chihiro has access to a new enchanted blade. Now I do not believe in this theory at all, because it is stated that Chihiro will need to cut down Magatsumi but also Akemura Soga. So this means that it is going to be Chihiro's potential mission or his goal or objective or premise of the story, or however you want to look at it, to delete Akemura Soga, which means that no one else can do that. So any other person who comes in contact with Akemura Soga is essentially either going to escape, be on equal footing with him, or be deleted. There is going to be no winning in those fights unless it's Chihiro, because that is the goal of the story. And if this does happen, then Chihiro will have access to Magatsumi, which I believe would hold lots of different memories from people who have tried to utilize Magatsumi. And through this, we might even see a flashback to either Akemura Soga's past or just the Seitei War in general, because the sword would have witnessed all of the different things that occurred during that war, regardless if Akemura Soga was holding onto it or not.
Could be destroyed. Cast it into the fire! Destroy it! Should have ended that day.
And that is my thoughts on Enten being destroyed. And it is absolutely insane what is happening right now. We're talking every single week I try to make a video on this. A new thing is just showing up out of nowhere, whether it be Magatsumi's power, the beliefs of Akemura Soga, that people like Yura are good people because of what happened in the war, and their belief in getting revenge and doing all these bad things is fine. However, people like Hakuri, who goes against his family because of his bloodline, is an absolute sinner to the world and should be deleted because of people like Kyoto as an example, is absolutely bonkers, which is why all the Shokokas got deleted, because it didn't matter what they did, whether they were nice people or not. Because of their blood, they were ultimately just bad people in the eyes of Akemura Soga, which is crazy to think about. That logic is absolutely insane for someone with so much power, that you just let that person be able to think that and give them one of the most powerful swords in the whole entire Kagurabachi universe, which is absolutely insane. And Samura might be in potentially the last lengths of his life, and he's ending his life having to fight Akemura Soga using all of his power and strength is absolutely over the top, and it's beautiful. And so it's why I'm struggling to make a video, and I do apologize to all of you Kagurabachi subs and fans who have been waiting for me to make a video on all this stuff, because every time I try to think about a new video, there's some mind-breaking, ultimate, arc-changing scene that goes on. Like, we went from Magatsumi absolutely totaling a goddamn building to getting the back lore of why the Shokokas were deleted by Akemura Soga, to getting Chihiro absolutely destroyed and Enten deleted, and now we're getting Samura versus Soga. Like, how can I make up a theory on anything if it's going to be changed in like the next week, and everything just changes in the next week? So that's why it's been very slow in terms of Kagurabachi, and I'm still trying to keep up with it because this had to be said, because now the story is going into a whole new direction. We don't know what's going to happen, if Chihiro is even making it out of this. Even if he doesn't, then what's the story going to be like? I have no idea. I can't even talk about next week or next month at this point. There is just so much happening. But look, that is my thoughts on Kagurabachi and Enten being destroyed. I'd like to hear what you think about it. Do you think Enten's going to be coming back as Enten 2? Is there going to be a new sword for Chihiro? Are we even going to get a sword for Natsuki? Because Cloud Gouge potentially can be now reforged if Enten can be reforged, which now creates a whole entire new theory on Natsuki being able to use a enchanted blade, and if not an enchanted blade, it'll be specifically Cloud Gouger. So there is so much potential going to happen now in the next chapters, and we still have so much going on, so many things with the other swordsmen. So I'd love to hear that in the comments section below. If you could possibly write that down. Thank you so much for continuing to watch Kagurabachi content on this channel. My name is John from Mono Story. If you haven't already liked, subscribed, and pressed the bell button, please do so. If you want to watch another video, click on the screen above. If not, until next time, I will see you on another Mono Story.